Imagine living a life where your fate, your health, and even your mind were all decided before you were born. All because your ancestors were obsessed with keeping their bloodline pure. For centuries, royal families traded genetic risks for political power, leading to horrific consequences. What happened when genetic mistakes were made for the sake of power? We're diving into the most unsettling and heartbreaking stories of inbred women in history, stories that will leave you questioning the cost of royalty. By the time we reach number 3, you won't believe what you're about to uncover. Trust me, you won't want to miss a second of this. Let's get started. First up at number 10 is Isabella II of Spain, a monarch whose reign was far from glorious. Born in 1830, Isabella's life was marked by genetic chaos from the start. Her father's desperate quest for a male heir led to a shocking union, an uncle marrying his niece. And that was just the beginning of her troubled legacy. Isabella's health, her marriages, and even her children were all deeply affected by her family's disturbing obsession with purity. She may have lost her crown, but her legacy is steeped in the dark history of her family's inbreeding. At number 9, we have Marie Louise of Austria, a royal trapped in a web of family ties that were far too close for comfort. Her parents were double first cousins, meaning they shared both sets of grandparents. Of Marie Louise's 12 children, only 7 survived to adulthood. But the story doesn't stop there. At 18, Marie Louise was handed over to Napoleon Bonaparte in a marriage that was more political strategy than romance. This was the weight of an empire resting on her young shoulders, and the toll it took on her health was unimaginable. Jumping from royal palaces to the grim realities of rural America, Lorraine Whitaker brings us back to a chilling modern-day example of inbreeding. Her family, isolated for generations, became a case study in genetic disaster. Lorraine, one of the most inbred individuals in recent history, is a stark reminder that the dangers of inbreeding are not just a thing of the past, they're happening right now, in hidden corners of the world. And it's not just her story, it's the story of the entire Whitaker family, whose tragic tale serves as a modern warning. At number 7, Maria the Fine of Portugal might be known by some as Maria the Pious, but her story is far more tragic. Born in 1734, her family's deeply tangled bloodline set the stage for unimaginable suffering. She married her own uncle, and the results were devastating. Half of her children didn't survive. As Maria's health deteriorated, her mental state unraveled, and she was ultimately deemed unfit to rule. Her life wasn't destroyed by war or rebellion, but by the invisible hand of genetics. Number 6 introduces us to Marie-Louise Elizabeth d'Orléans, whose life reads like a tragic Gothic novel. Born into a royal family steeped in dysfunction, she was married off to her cousin, another royal union that resulted in the death of her 3 children. But the true horror lies in her descent into alcoholism at a shockingly young age. Was it a cry for help, or the only way to cope with the overwhelming weight of her bloodline's destructive legacy? Either way, her life is a tragic testament to the cost of dynastic duty gone horribly wrong. At number 5, we meet Princess Alexia of Greece, whose story bridges the fading tradition of royal marriages and the long-lasting consequences of inbreeding. Her parents, Queen Anne-Marie of Denmark and King Constantine II of Greece, were second cousins and third cousins. This close blood tie meant their children, including Alexia, were born into a family burdened by genetic complications. Her story may not be as well known, but it's a powerful reminder of how old traditions still shape modern royals today. At number 4, we find Maria Antonia of Austria, a Habsburg whose inbreeding legacy surpassed even that of her infamous uncle, Charles V of Spain. Her family tree wasn't a tree at all. It was more like a tangled mess of repeated names and marriages. Some say her genetic makeup was similar to that of a child born to full siblings. Yet despite her tragic fate, Maria Antonia's name has been overshadowed by history. But from a genetic standpoint, she was the peak of Habsburg inbreeding. Now let's travel back in time to ancient Egypt. Number 3 introduces us to mummies 317A and 317B, 2 infant daughters of Pharaoh Tutankhamun and his half-sister Ankhesemun. Born around 1300 BCE, these 2 girls never stood a chance. Their tragic deaths, marked by deformities and frailty, are haunting reminders of how even the mightiest dynasties couldn't escape the devastating consequences of inbreeding. Their story may be ancient, but the genetic cost was just as real then as it is today. At number 2, we leave the royals behind and enter one of the darkest modern cases of inbreeding, Kimberly cult. Living in deep isolation in Australia, Kimberly's family practiced generations of inbreeding, creating a closed-loop community with almost no outside genetic input. The truth came to light in the early 2000s, leading to multiple police investigations. Kimberly, born into this environment, is one of the most genetically compromised individuals ever documented. This isn't about royal pressure, it's a terrifying look at how unchecked inbreeding can destroy lives. And now at number 1, we have Cleopatra II Philippator, a woman who was the full embodiment of calculated inbreeding for political power. Her family, the Ptolemaic dynasty, practiced sibling marriages to keep their bloodline pure. Cleopatra's parents were siblings, her grandparents were siblings, and even her own siblings married each other. Cleopatra II wasn't just a royal figure. She was the genetic culmination of generations of tightly woven lineage, burdened by the ambitions of her ancestors. Her story is not just one of power, it's a chilling reminder of the cost of preserving power through blood. From majestic courts to forgotten villages, the pursuit of power, purity, and legacy twisted the stories of these women into tragic tales of resilience, survival, and revelation. Their lives remind us that history isn't shaped only by politics and war, but also by the invisible forces of biology and blood. Stay tuned for more shocking revelations.